You're listening to the E2C Network, podcast by Auburn fans for Auburn fans.
War Eagle Auburn family, and welcome back to Inside the Jungle, your source for Auburn men's basketball analysis and discussion. And we are back. It is almost that time of year again, man. Am I excited? I'm Gray Oldenburg. I'm your host today. And today I'm not actually joined by Kyle, and I'll most likely be bringing in a one certain guest and a maintained co-host, which I'll let him introduce himself in a moment. This is kind of how we want to do it. Kyle may come on occasionally. We love when Kyle comes on. He brings such great discussion. But yeah, it's almost that time of year. I'm excited. We're ready to get into this, and I'll introduce my co-host, and his name may sound a little familiar. My co-host this year will be none other than my father, Mr. Chris Oldenburg. Dad, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Gray?
I'm good. I'm ready to get into this.
I'm excited about basketball season.
That's right. When Kyle asked me to find a co-host or start searching, or if he would like to match me with a co-host, I was like, most of my friends, being from just outside of Birmingham, most of my friends that are really knowledgeable about basketball and discussion about basketball, tend to root for the school across the state.
We don't mention that one.
Yeah, that's right. So, when I was asked to find a co-host, I was like, well, the one person who I've always been able to talk Auburn basketball with and always been able to connect, and we've always had such great discussions, and we've gone to games and we watch games together. And since the Tony Barbee era started, but especially since the Bruce Pearl era, I immediately thought of you, and I'm excited to have you.
I'm excited to be a part of it. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun just talking basketball.
That's right. And that's what we're good at. I think, I've been told.
We'll see.
I don't, but yeah, we'll see. All right. So let's just get straight into this. Man, you have a talented Auburn basketball team this year. Some will say one of the most talented teams this Auburn program has ever had. And, thanks to Bruce Pearl, thanks to recruiting, thanks to transfers, thanks to players staying and players leaving. But man, you have a bright spot ahead of us. This SEC is really deep, including Auburn. I'm excited. We're gonna kind of get straight away into it with the roster players that we're looking at. I'm gonna start off with we'll start off with the point guards. The point guard position has been such a huge position under Bruce Pearl, with the likes of Kareem Canty, Jared Harper, Javon McCormick, and Sharif Cooper. And we wonder who's next. Do we know who's?
I think we've got a who's next. I think next.
I think we do too. I think we've got a few.
Yeah,
I think that's across the board and position wise. I think that's what makes this Auburn team so good, so talented, and so makes us so ready for this basketball season. All right, so with the point guards, the only two true point guards I think we really have on scholarship are Mr. Wendell Green Jr. from Eastern Kentucky, the transfer, and Mr. Zep Jasper, the transfer from the College of Charleston. Dad, I think both of these two could start. I think both of these two could immediately contribute. They both bring two different aspects to the game. I think Zep's more defensively, Wendell's more offensively. Who would you like to see start? Maybe not for the whole year. Who do you think would mesh the best, especially early in the year?
Been going back and forth on the point guard slot for who's going to start. And I've been in the beginning, I was like Wendell Green, so good, so talented. He's Jared Harper 2.0. And then I started thinking, the Zep Jasper with his defense, maybe be smart, since you've got scorers on the floor in the other positions. Maybe you start Zep and see what happens there. But so I think one could start the first game and one could start the second game. I don't think that there's a reason to sit either of them for extended minutes. I think they're both going to get the same amount of minutes. And to be honest with you, it's who's out there at the end of the game and who Bruce trusts with the ball in his hand.
That's right. And I love the comparison you made with Wendell Green about Jared Harper. Man, this kid shoots way too far away, makes it just like it's one of those no, yes shots. And then
that's exactly right.
And then love what you said about Zep Jasper. There's a reason at College of Charleston and throughout his high school years they nicknamed him the Honey Badger. He is a defensive menace. His on-ball defense, especially in the backcourt, is something you got to put out on the court. It's something that we need. But they both bring two different things. I would love for either of them to start. I'd love for either of them to get the same amount of minutes, just like you said. But I guess we'll have to just see. And you're right. It does come down to who does Bruce trust the most at the end of the game, and that could change. And that could be something that goes back and forth. That could be something that, neither of them, and maybe we go big.
From all that I've heard from when they had pro day the other day, and we've got some pros on the team, but Bruce said, was commenting during pro day about Zepp and his defense, and said he's going to play as much as he wants to.
That's right.
If he plays defense like that.
That's right.
You got to play defense if you play for Bruce Pearl.
That's right. All right, so we'll kind of move into, I'm going to kind of combine the shooting guard and small forward position, the 2 and the 3, because I think we have a pleasure of guys who could play those positions, and I think those positions in Pearl's offense and defensively are very similar. I think they kind of do the same thing, as we saw with, like a Malik Dunbar, Bryce Brown. They were both two really good spot-up shooters who, brought two different things, but they kind of did the same offensive schedule, if you know what I mean. So guys I'm going to mention in that kind of realm, I'm going to name KD Johnson in that list, the transfer from Georgia. I'm going to name Devin Cambridge in that, the junior, who's been great. He's been, he's struggled. He's had his moments. He's been Devin. That's the best way I can describe Devin Cambridge. I'm going to wrap up Chris Moore in that as well. He slimmed up so well, as we saw the scrimmage, and we'll talk about the scrimmage that you and I both went to last Friday, that the orange and blue scrimmage that they did. He slimmed up really well. I want to kind of push him into that 3 slot. I think he would be good there, especially with our depth at the 4 and the 5. But you have those 3, and then of course you have the man Alan Flanagan, who tore his Achilles this offseason.
And partially torn Achilles, and who's been recovering really well. He's apparently really had a schedule. We hope to see him back maybe a little bit before SEC play, maybe a little into SEC play. I think that'd be perfect for Alan. Of course, we want Alan back. Alan's a candidate for SEC Player of the Year. He's Player of the Year. Yeah.
But let's talk about those 3 guys that I named, in KD, Devin, and Chris. They again, just like the point guards, I think they all kind of bring different things to the table. Devin's more that spot-up shooter and highlight reel alley-oop type, like Malik Dunbar was. KD's more that grimy defender. You look at him on the court, you think he looks a lot like Sean Shivers. He looks like a lot like a little running back and he's like a little bug that you just can't keep away. He's one of those tenacious defenders. He used to work on his 3-point shot that apparently he really has worked on this offseason.
Get hot, yeah.
Yeah. And then Chris Moore. I want to put Chris Moore in there because I want to see him more at the 3. I think we tried to play him a little too much at the 4 last year. I don't think I'm not saying he's necessarily not big enough. I don't think he's, especially with how deep and good the SEC will be this year. I want to see him transfer to a more of an outside player because I think he can really excel in that. And man, has he slimmed down, as we saw at the scrimmage.
So let me start with Chris Moore. Chris Moore in high school was a center.
Yeah.
And he came to Auburn, and we tried to play him at the 4 because he wasn't big enough to play center, obviously. But 6'6", 240, I think 6'6", 240 may be a little bit heavy. I don't think he's 240.
Yeah.
And from what I saw at the scrimmage compared to last year, he completely different physique.
Yeah.
Just trimmed down, all muscle, jumps out of the gym now. He's more your driver slasher guy, I think, and looks like he can take contact and finish through it. So I'm excited about Chris Moore and what he brings. You described KD Johnson. He's a little taller than Sean Shivers, but he looks just like a college SEC running back. He's built and cut out of stone. And I think he's one of those streaky shooters that if he gets hot, he won't ever miss again. But he's another guy. He showed at Georgia last year that he's a guy that can finish through contact. And I think he showed us at Georgia last year, his first game, that he can finish through contact and then make the free throw. Devin Devin's one of my favorite guys on the team. Just I love his attitude and he's so bouncy. I just don't ever want him to take another 3-point shot. I don't. I want him to catch alley oops. I want him to run on the fast break.
Shots.
I want him to fly all over the place. But when he's out there and he's alone at the 3-point line, there's a reason he's alone at the 3-point line. Yeah. If I was the other team, I'm not guarding him out there. Yeah. I'm just not, because he's too talented bouncing.
Yeah, and you're right. What you said about KD, I think you can also wrap in with Devin. He's been a really streaky shooter, because in the past we've seen games where he went 8 of 9, 7 of 9, 6 of 7 from 3. And it's like, yeah, he's going to have that game. He's going to have that game. He may have that game two or three times, but the consistency is the big thing with Devin. And, we'll see if he starts. We'll see because you're going to need to probably put 2 of those guys, and there's the 2 in the 3 slot right there until Allen comes back healthy. You don't want to rush a guy like Allen back, especially with how deep this team is. So there really is no rush, especially if those 3 are playing well at those 2 positions.
But you notice, and I know that we're going to talk about the scrimmage in a little bit, but they actually started the 2-point guards in Devin.
You're right.
In 1, 2, and 3 the other night on Friday night. So I don't think that's what he's going to do when it comes to regular season, but that was an interesting lineup. I think that's going to be a little bit more of a matchup thing of who we're playing against, who they've got, who they start, what their strengths and weaknesses are. I think that's just the thing we see as the season goes on, and as Allen comes back, and as this team meshes more together. But let's get into what I think is the best part about this team in the 4 and the 5 positions. This is ridiculous. This is why this team is considered one of the top Auburn basketball teams, talent-wise, we've ever seen before. So you bring in the number 1 power forward in the country last year in Jabari Smith. He's a all SEC second team already, projected to be in the running for SEC Freshman of the Year, maybe SEC Player of the Year. The dude's an all-around baller. Dude's a pro. The dude is just a pro. He's a pro. At that 4 position, and then backing him up was probably one of our best players last year in Jalen Williams, the junior. Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, Swiss Army knife is the perfect way to describe Jalen Williams. He's a great passer. He's got his shot. It's a little unorthodox, but it goes in. He's a great rebounder. He's a great defender. He's everything.
Great passer.
Yeah.
Great passer.
With the 5 position, you bring in the transfer from North Carolina, the 7'1", maybe 7'2", Walker Kessler, who's also he's not a skinny 7'2". He's not. People will remember back. It's not that Trevon Reed guy from way on back that was just a guy, just a big, tall body. No, this dude's a pro as well. Walker is a pro. He's great on the perimeter. He's a great defender. He's a great shot blocker. Oh my goodness, watching him at North Carolina, it was just special.
At Boston College, wasn't it Boston College? He had like 8 block shots. Notre Dame in the tournament. Yeah.
And then backing him up, you got Dylan Cardwell and Babatunde Akingbola stretch. I mean, those two talk about energy. Those two are the heart of this team, especially Cardwell. He's become kind of a meme around students in the Auburn student section of the football games, and taking his shirt off. But the dude has also, slimmed up and beefed up. I'm excited to watch him come off the bench. I mean, that's a guy that 3 years ago we would have been excited about starting. But this is a dude that's going to come off the bench, and we don't know how many minutes Cardwell or Stretch is going to get with Walker and Jabari out there. But every time they come in, you're excited. You want to see them play. You're ready for them to come out there. So, I mean, that's what the front court is what makes this team who they are.
I agree. Let me start at the 5 because Kessler was one of my favorite players. Carolina's one of my other favorite teams. So I watched Walker a lot last year, and he didn't get a lot of minutes on a big, tall Carolina team last year. He probably would have gotten a bunch more had he stayed there another year, but he wanted to be closer to home, and dude can play. He can run the court. He can block shots. He's not the best rebounder yet, but he'll be an excellent rebounder. He's a legit 7'2". Yeah. He's a great outside shot. He made a 3 in the scrimmage the other night. He's fantastic. But you're right. I can't wait to watch Dylan Cardwell in a packed Jungle arena because he played in front of nobody a year ago and was the most exciting thing on the court every time he got on the court.
That's right.
So and then like you said, if you're at the football game this past weekend, one of the best things that happened is he'd been taking his shirt off on the Jumbotron and they panned up to I guess 9 or 10-year-old kid who ripped his shirt off like he was challenging Dylan. And Dylan took his back off and started counting his six-pack on his stomach. And I was like, dang. Yeah, I wish I looked like that. I don't.
That is Dylan Cardwell, though. That is who he is. That
awesome.
is what he brings. All right, so
Stretch may not play a lot, but Stretch is a heartbeat of the team. I agree. Let me just say, Jabari, pro.
Yeah,
he's a pro. He gets ready like a pro. He's going to be a matchup nightmare because he can get his shot anytime he wants, and it's one of the most silky smooth shot for a 6'10" kid. Enjoy him while he's here this year because he will not be here long.
He will not. He already projected top 10, maybe top 5 in the NBA draft next year. And all right, but let's go ahead and get into a little bit of the schedule. I know we went way too in depth on the players, but that's what this team is about. This team is about the players and about the coaching staff and about the fans and about the experience and about the, about the Auburn. So we'll get into a little bit of a schedule here. So we're recording this on Monday, the 1st of November. Auburn plays an exhibition game against Southern Indiana in Auburn Arena on Friday at 7. I think that will be
what's cool about that, right? The cool thing about that is not only did Bruce Pearl coach there, one of his best players to ever play for him at Southern Indiana is now the coach there. So he's given one of his best players an opportunity to come down here and get some experience. I think it's really cool.
That. I did not know that. That is actually really cool. I think that'll be more of a formality, more of a preparation type of thing. It is an exhibition game, so won't count for a record or anything like that. But then the next week on Tuesday night, on November 9th, they will open in Auburn Arena against Morehead State. Absolutely know nothing about Morehead State, but they will tip off at 7 there at Auburn Arena, and they will continue from there. After Morehead State, that Friday on the 12th is ULM, and then the next Friday they go to USF down in Tampa. And then right after that, we go to the Battle of Atlantis in the Bahamas on Paradise Island. Man, that'll be interesting. There's a good group of teams down there. We start off with UConn, and then we'll either play Loyola Chicago or Michigan State right after that. Talk about two teams, with Loyola going to the Final Four, being the Cinderella a few years ago, and then Michigan State, Tom Izzo. It's Tom Izzo.
Yeah.
And then after that, you'll play somebody like Arizona State, Baylor, Syracuse, or VCU. The Baylor being the defending champs, and Syracuse with their zone, VCU and Arizona State. That's a good group. And then after that, you'll host a team like UCF. After you lost to them last year, you want to
make up, payback.
Yep, you want payback right there. And then you'll host a team like Yale. After that, when you get after you get into December, I think that is our first Saturday game at home is against Yale on December 4th. Right after that, our next game is that next Saturday in Atlanta against Nebraska. This will be I believe our first. Yes, at this time it will be our first Power 5 opponent outside of the Battle for Atlantis.
The Battle for Atlantis.
Yes. So this will be. This is just a straight up game. This will be in Atlanta at the Hawks Arena. Against
we
Nebraska.
played Memphis there last year.
Yes.
If I remember correctly. Yeah.
Yes.
By the way, Morehead State they're the Eagles.
The Eagles.
Just thought you want to know.
So the Tigers versus the Eagles. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Then you'll play three more games against lower competition before right into the SEC. You'll play North Alabama. Like what they're doing up in North Alabama. I can't hate up on the Lions.
Yep.
Then you go to St. Louis to play a St. Louis team that's been going to the tournament. That's a matchup. That's a matchup on a Saturday night. And then you play Murray State here in Auburn Arena. right
No more
after
John
that.
Morant.
No more John
No
Morant.
more John
Last time
Morant.
Murray State came to Auburn Arena, John Morant was there, and Jared Hartford completely outplayed him, and we will always remember that. And then you swing right into SEC play with LSU, and then keep going. I think the schedule works out well.
Hopefully, Alan Flanagan will be back around the time we go to St. Louis.
That's right.
Give him a couple games to get ready for SEC play.
Yeah. I'm sure he'll be on a minute restriction early due to his injury. But no, I think the schedule sets up well. I think it's a good mix of preparation games and games that will test this Auburn team away from home and at home before the start of a very deep SEC play. Because, man, this SEC is deep. This Auburn team is loaded, and they came up as the preseason number 5. And a lot of people thought that was low. Some people thought that was high. Some people thought that was just right. I don't really know of anybody that thought that was high, except for people that wear red and white, or maybe blue and white if you're a Kentucky fan.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, this team's already number 22 in the AP poll in the preseason. A lot of people have this team as a wild card. They just don't really know what to expect yet. The ceiling, I think the ceiling is as far as you want it to be.
It is.
With this team. It's just too talented.
Somebody asked me the other day what I thought would be if I thought a Sweet 16 loss would be disappointing for this team. And I said, I think making it to the second weekend of the tournament is almost a have to with this type of talent.
Yeah, with this type of talent, with this type of depth, with this coaching staff, and with this type of schedule, I think you're right. I think making it to the Sweet 16. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think making it to the second weekend is important.
But they've got now, and Auburn fans in basketball, you've got to realize that they may lose a few games that you're not expecting them to lose because it's going to take time to get these guys together, to get Pearl's rotations in order, to get where he feels like he's got it going. And like you said, the SEC is as deep as they come. Yeah. There's the best conference in the country, and I don't think there's a close second.
I don't think this year. I really don't think it is. I think the ACC has been so good, and so deep the past few years with Carolina, Duke, Virginia, in all those teams.
And I know the Big 12 is good.
The Big 12 is good.
Champion, but
even the
I
Big
still
10.
think we're top to bottom better.
I agree. Every single team in this, like the preseason stuff came out, except for Georgia. Yeah, they're bad. They stole other players. Everybody stole other players. I think, but like the team that was projected 13th in the preseason had the SEC Player of the Year projection. And Vanderbilt with Scottie Pippen Jr. Like that's insane. If the SEC Player of the Year is on the 13th best team in the conference, this conference is deep. Yeah, we'll kind of wrap up here. We'll talk a little bit about the scrimmage that you and I went to last Friday. I think it was a great idea. It was the first time they ever did that. They did it right after the volleyball game. It got a little publicity for the Auburn women's volleyball. I love that. I love when different coaches, love when the coaches do that to get publicity for other sports, especially women's sports and that sort of thing.
Absolutely.
But it was cool. They jumped in immediately and kind of did starters versus scout team with a 20-minute half, and scout team got up on them good. I tell you, the little Michael Whitmore kid, the freshman, 4 or 5 from 3. He walk on. He was kind of frustrating Pearl as he was kind of getting up on Wendell and Zepp and KD pretty early. But the starters came out and started to take over that, and then they kind of divided it up better and did 4-minute segments where each team was up 6 and they had to finish the game. And each team that was up 6 won both times. And I was trying to think of who I was most impressed with among the scholarship players, because the most impressed I was with was Michael Whitmore. But among the scholarship players, there really wasn't one in particular that I was like, wow, that kid's better than I thought he was. Jabari's a pro. Wendell can shoot the lights out. All these guys are really good players. Zepp was defending everywhere. It was kind of just what you expected. Pearl was really frustrated at the end, though. He said, because they had a scrimmage earlier in the week, last week, against UAB up in Birmingham. And he said the energy was a lot better. he kind of made a comment. It was like, I think our guys are really tired of playing each other. And when they went up to UAB, the energy was a lot better. The defense was a lot better. They're moving better. And maybe we'll see that.
Anybody who's played competitive basketball knows that feeling. You get tired of beating up on each other because you know each other's moves, you know each other's plays, and you're just like, this is old.
Yeah.
And they're ready to play somebody with a different colored jersey on. And I'm not talking orange or blue. I'm talking a different jersey.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. And I don't blame them at all. I'm ready to get into the action too. I'm excited.
Let me give some love to old 25, Chandler Leopard. I think is Leopard. Chandler Leopard from Athens, Alabama, won the dunk contest. He's 6'3". The young man can fly out of the gym.
Yeah.
And now granted, he was going against Devin Cambridge, who's as bouncy as they come, but Devin tried to do some silly stuff that I thought, oh, if he gets hurt, I'm really going to be mad, because he tried one dunk where he was jumping over, I guess they had Flanagan, Wendell, and Bruce.
Yeah.
And if you haven't seen the picture, I don't know where you've been, but there's a picture floating around Twitter from underneath the basket with Bruce praying as Devin's above him. Devin missed those dunks.
Yeah.
So old 25 Chandler was able to win the dunk contest,
cool.
And the kid can jump out of the gym.
Yeah.
But you asked about who you were most impressed with. A couple things that jumped off the thing to me were Wendell Green shooting.
Mm-hmm.
And then on a fast break, with the lane crowded, it wasn't 2-on-no fast break. It was 2-on probably 4 fast break. He knew Walker was coming, and he threw it off the backboard, and Walker went up and got it and dunked it. Really impressive skill set there for both of them. And then just watching Jabari on the high post, he's a nightmare.
It's like you're at a Brooklyn Nets game when you're watching Jabari Smith.
It's exactly what you feel like.
Yeah.
And he had one play where Walker passed it from one high post to the other to him, and then Walker cut, and he made a bounce pass, a give and go to Walker Kessler. I don't know when the last time we've seen two guys over 6'10" do that at Auburn. I don't know that I've ever seen that happen.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's something to be excited about, something to look forward to, something to get ready for Auburn men's basketball. We are ready. This was the season preview. We will be back, and we'll try and do one after every game. We may do one next week, maybe after we get a little word from the Southern Indiana action, maybe next weekend. Get that out to you before Morehead State, and then we'll start going from there. And then we'll get ready. Dad, thank you for joining me. You can shout out your Twitter if you would like. If you want.
Twitter, my Twitter is IMCTO.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
You gotta tell me, argue with me on what you believe or don't believe.
Right. That's right.
You.
Feel free to tweet at him, or you can tweet at me at Gray Oldenburg, or you can find me on Instagram at Gray021. Until next time, War Eagle, everybody.
War Eagle.
Before you get out of here, we want to remind you of a couple of things. Head over to e2cnetwork.com, our website where you can find everything that you'll ever need from us, podcasts, blogs, and even ways to help support the show. If you want to find individual episodes, you can download all of these on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play. So until we see you again, I want to remind you of one thing, that here at the network, we believe in Auburn and love it. The only question remains, do you?